Why does height matter? If you've seen the street interviews where guys run around with a microphone and they ask girls, does height matter? They'll usually say something like, yes, because I need to wear heels and he needs to be taller than me. Or, yes,
because they're long and they...
Wait, what? Why height matters in everything, all right. Short kings and short cells, this is for you.
You funny and all, but like, you a midget. I can't do it.
I'm sorry, baby. It's the height, but we could be friends. We could, we could kick it, You already know what I'm about to say.
This is brutal. This girl's shorter than him.
Y'all have to pass.
I'm sorry, but pass. I almost feel bad.
I'm past.
Oh my god.
Hi, little
Rhode Island sucks.
boy. Hi, little piss baby.
What is that? What is that, Gerbert Johnson? Why is this video on my screen right now? Why am I looking at this? I don't want to see this.
did you know that tall men make more money than short men? They make nearly $170,000 more over the course of their career. That's a lot of bread. With that type of money, you could do all sorts of things. You could buy a blow job.
Ghost Politics is rating you? Oh, shout out to Ghost.
You could purchase a slim gym. This increase in income is attributed to the fact that tall people have more confidence than short people. And this is specifically for men. There's a positive correlation between height and self-esteem. In the same vein, 90% of CEOs are above average height. You're gonna have a hard time finding a US president who is under 6 feet tall. You'll have to go back quite a bit to where the average height was way less than it is now. Also, the shorter you are as a man, the more likely you are to end your own life. But enough of all that stuff. The question, does height matter, is often asked in the context of dating. I know what you're here for, the hose. You want to hear the information pertaining to sucking and...
I feel like unless you're like less than 5'8", I kind of don't give a f if you're insecure about your height. Honestly, like, I'm sorry, I just don't. If you're less than 5'8", I put more, I'll give you, I'll validate you a little more, okay? I'll validate you a little more. But generally, like, I just don't. I think it doesn't matter.
You got these bitches on your brain, what can I say? Don't we all? Well, unfortunately, the data follows a similar trend when it comes to dating and short guys. Tall men have more reproductive success. Women are happier with taller partners. If you're under 5'8", it's really rough. It's like a Herculean task to get laid at that point. All of the data
6'6", yeah, I'm 6'6".
shows it. It's a pretty obvious social phenomena. But then there are all these people who are like, no,
6'6".
height doesn't matter. I know a short guy who slays. He just runs around with his little legs and he's just... It's like, okay, I know a League of Legends player with good hygiene. I know a Radiohead fan who has a girlfriend. I know a short guy who... It's the same thing. What we're looking at is an exception to the rule.
But I feel like this rule is not all-encompassing at all. Like, I feel like this is like copium. Like, once again, especially in super hypergamous, like, communities, quote-unquote, like, I don't know, what would you call it? Like Tinder, I guess. That's one example, right? But generally, I feel like it's not that big of a deal. It's just so like self-defeatist. In general, I think nothing to complain about. Once again, unless you're like below 5'8", and even at that, like, your life is not... Yeah, we're all born with like circumstances that are less than ideal, okay? Some people have it worse than others, but like giving into this kind of mentality is horrible for you. If you're self-defeatist about it, you'll never get what you want.
This doesn't take away from the data collected from thousands
As someone who's 5'10", I confirm my life is up. I assume you're joking.
of people as a sample size. You moron. That being said, it's not like you have to be over 6 feet tall to have a chance like some ridiculous involuntary celibates would say.
Okay, I'm glad he's at least saying that.
I'm 5'10", and let me tell you something. I like nobody's business. I spread my seed from sea to shining sea. If I had a piece of bread for every woman that I've bed, then the entire continent of Africa would be fed. But it wasn't always this way. I hit my growth spurts late. In fact, I think I'm still hitting them. So I have a little bit of perspective in knowing what it's like to be short and then to be normal sized in a short amount of time. The way you feel and the way you're treated is different. There's this notion that all these problems that short men face, they're all in their head. They have some Napoleon complex. But I don't think that's fair to say at all. Using my own experiences and data, I can conclusively say that it actually sucks to be a short man.
In this case, we wanted to see if anyone would pick 5.
Depends on how short you are. I mean, I think, once again, the problem with this kind of study / research thing is like they're purely rating these people based on physical appearance. So like obviously on average, a woman is probably going to like a taller guy than a shorter guy. I think that's definitely true. Especially if you're like just rating them based off, you know, once again, appearance or like sex appeal. There are things that can be sexually appealing / attractive / inviting to women that go beyond your physical height, right? And I think that plays a larger factor than this is taking into account, you know?
5'3", Rob. When Andrea told us women like doctors, we gave him an MD. Their choice?
Andrew. I would say Matt, I think.
No, Rob. We piled on some more
They also don't know this guy at all, though. You know?
assets. We said besides being a doctor, he was also a best-selling author and champion skier who just built his own ski house.
Does that affect your choices?
He's still short. I wouldn't, because I would think I don't want short little kids. I was thinking like...
Well, at least someone
Wow.
like Rob.
Jeez.
But if it was this harsh for him at 5'3", what would it take to get a date for Stu at just 5 feet? First, we made him an up-and-coming actor.
No.
No. Not.
Then we said Stu had made millions by age 25.
No.
Not for me. Nothing worked.
How come nobody picks Stu?
He's too short.
Too short. Too short?
Do you think short people cope because they have other undesirable traits? Maybe partially. I mean, that's definitely partially the case. But I think a part of it also is just like when things aren't going well for you, I think a lot of people will search for one specific thing that they can blame their like lack of success when dating on or with anything, right? They'll look for one thing. It's like YouTubers do this too. When their videos aren't doing well, it's like, oh, it's the algorithm. The algorithm is doing it, okay? And like, in certain cases, is that the case? Yeah, like undoubtedly. But in general, I don't think that's the case, you know? There's specific instances where YouTube will shadow ban someone or delete their channel, and that sucks and is immoral, and they shouldn't do that. But in general, I don't think that the average YouTuber is suffering because of the algorithm, right? Most people complain about that. It's not the algorithm. It's because they don't make good content, or because people don't want to watch their or they're not really trying, and that's the general issue. But people, when they're in a bad situation, will always look for one thing they can blame it on, right?
Make those short guys almost like God to make them desirable, right?
We finally made him God, and that's when they chose.
And this surprises you?
It obviously doesn't surprise you.
No.
Yale psychologist Les Martell is 5'5".
It goes back to caveman times. We simply judge people, particularly men, based on their height, on their size, on their physical presence.
Human height has been increasing for as long as we've measured it. From 1914 to 2014, the average height of men in the Netherlands increased by 6 inches, from 5'6" to 6 foot. This is the tallest average on the globe, but in all Western countries, the average has been increasing for a while now. Most people would attribute this growth to better food and medicine, but this is not why we have grown. There is only one reason humans are getting taller: sexual selection. Short men in the Netherlands barely reproduced. That's why the average height went up so much. Even while countries were starving, you could see the average height going up. Why does height matter? If you've seen the street interviews where guys run around with a microphone and they ask girls, does height matter? They'll usually say something like, yes, because I need to wear heels and he needs to be taller than me. Or, yes, because I need somebody who can reach the top shelf.
I just like taller men. You want to look up into his eyes, and you want it to be like a movie.
But the truth is not something as simple or innocent as heels. It's thousands of years of evolution. Your lizard brain is running on autopilot to pick the most dominant male and produce the most fit offspring.
I mean, yeah, but we're not just lizards too, right? Like women will date fat, bald men because they don't give a shit. If you're funny enough or have a good enough personality or make enough money, they don't really care. I don't think they really do, to be honest with you. I just don't think it matters that much, you know?
And I don't want short guys to develop a victim mentality or run into a bagel shop and start throwing around, but it's important to know your hand because we all get a different hand. Some hands are better than others, and this hand dictates how you play the game. Heightism, lookism, these things are real, but the thing is, these incel types, not incels in general, like you could be a 5'4" dude who just can't get laid because of your genetics, but you're not on these online forums or anything. That's cool. But people who would identify themselves as incels and who are on these forums a lot, they tend to blame women. And truth be told, that's the biggest cope of them all. If a girl chooses to have kids with a short guy and she has a son, it's gonna be another short guy. It's all for the benefit of the offspring. Blaming women is just something to put yourself above them to make yourself feel better. Male sexuality is just as animalistic. Incels get mad.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
That short girls want really tall husbands. Of course they do. If a 4'11" girl marries
Yeah, but guys generally don't want to date a girl that's taller than them either.
5'2" guy and they have a son, that kid is men, if given the choice, will always go for the most pretty girl as well. Both genders are equally shallow. And it's true that these evolutionary tactics have become maladaptive because of the internet mostly, but that's not women's fault either. Like, if you really want to assign blame, blame the men who created Tinder. So yeah, newsflash, life isn't fair. So much of your life is determined by your genetics.
Once again, thank God this guy always ends the video on a positive message, because if it was just the doomer, I'd be so mad, because I just hate that. I love how it's societally acceptable to laugh at men for being short, but you can't even call a girl fat. Yeah, you should be able to call girls fat. Say no to fat bitches.
That it's actually shocking and depressing. And I would like
Speak for yourself, Tom. I want my wife to be 7'2", so you can lift me in the air and let me. Okay.
For some people who aren't all into this weird manosphere to see this and maybe feel a little bit more empathetic. Nobody sane who's not on these weird forums are genuinely asking for government-issued girlfriends, okay? Nobody's asking for ass mandates. All I'm saying is just acknowledge, because there's a lot of gaslighting and disrespect towards short guys when they're already facing all this and it's really not cool.
Surprisingly measured video for the start, yeah. I guess I hate like defeatist mindset so much. I hate when people people just cope with this constantly, bro. They'll cope and ruminate on things what they cannot change. You know, obviously for some people it is quote unquote over, but in general I feel like just ruminating on that is really. But yeah, I feel like I just find it really annoying when people just constantly ruminate on their own. Constantly ruminating while they can't change. Like, you already can't change it, so just cope about it and then get the f over it and move on to a new thing. You either become a victim or you own that shit and make it work. Yeah. All right. I'll be back.